More than I need, what you want, girl, it's yours. Give me your feelings, I just can't ignore. 'Cause all I want is you, baby. Give me your time, all your love, I've been paid.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Russell the Fourth.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Brandy.
And welcome to another episode of the What They Never Told Us podcast. We back.
We are here. Unfortunate news, as you can see, we are in a new setup, but we don't have Dr. Jack with us today. She was ill and could not attend the podcast today, but we will be rescheduling with her. So for those of you who are tuning in, anticipating that, we're sorry to disappoint you, but of course, we're always coming with the fire, as we do.
Always. So y'all nasty. And y'all been hounding us about the sex episode because, of course, that's a hot topic. So y'all gonna have to wait a little bit longer for the sex episode, but it is coming. But shout out to us. We've been giving y'all views lately.
Not lately.
We just did the Columbus episode.
It's very true.
It was dope decor. So special shout out to our engineer for the day. The homie Ryan Showers is in the building.
Yes, and shout out to Boss Up Productions for letting us use their space.
Absolutely. Beautiful space available in Michigan. Look it up if you need some just dope space to shoot content at. This space is incredible. And also shout out to Ryan, who is a podcaster, YouTuber himself. Look it up, RYNS Room, right? No, RM. It's not the whole room. You took out all the vowels because you fly like that. RYNS RM, Ryan's Room. So shout out to him and shout out to this dope facility. Absolutely. So hopefully y'all missed this because we've been gone
a whole week. No content from the What They Never Told Us podcast.
And how y'all be hounding us about when we, all the times I forget to hit record, you know what I'm saying? And we miss YouTube. I know that this week has had to been a little bit traumatic.
No, they have plenty of content to go back and listen to. We give y'all content every single week, multiple weeks in a row. So y'all have plenty to entertain y'all through this week. And I hope our numbers reflect that.
For sure. And this week has just been busy for us. Listen, I'm not going to hold y'all up. The traveling now this comes from someone, I love road trips. I like road trips. A 10-hour drive, going somewhere.
Airplane me, please.
See, like when we went to Memphis, that wasn't that bad though, right?
It was just me and you.
That's what I'm saying. Like when
it's great when it's just us.
That's what I'm saying. Kids destroy it. There's another word that needs to be used when you vacation with kids. It can't be called a vacation because it ain't that. It's a different word.
It's just a trip.
It's a job.
It's work.
It's work. So we went down to see my family in the DMV, which is like the Virginia, Baltimore, Maryland, D.C. area. So we went to visit my family out there, which was dope, which was really dope seeing them. And but it was the travel and it was the all the kids that was with it that made it stressful.
So we had our 4. So our oldest was still in Hawaii. Then we had Russell's 2, my 2, but then we had his 2 nephews who were away from their parents, and so we were surrogate parents along with Russell's mom and dad. All of us traveled in 2 cars on the road for 10 hours, and then once we hit that Virginia traffic, I was ready to put them all out. I was ready. I was ready to get out and start walking down the side of the highway or put them out. It's just too much.
Yeah, you had attitude the whole trip.
I don't like being in the car, number one. I get car sick, kids back there. When we going? Where are we going? Are we there yet? Are we still in Jackson? Are we still in Ohio? Are we still? Leave me alone. Get on your iPad. I'm sick of you.
But honestly, though, for like traveling with kids, they did better than what I thought they were going to do.
They did.
It was still rough, but they did. It was more so when we got there that they got on my nerves. But the way up, the way back, they was on their devices most of the time. I was good with that.
If I heard, Dad, can I connect to your hotspot one more time? Just one more time. I And literally, we would get out the car to go to the bathroom or whatever. They would break from the hot spot. As soon as their butts hit the seat, you ain't started the car. You ain't put your seatbelt on. You ain't made sure your sister and your brother in there. All you care about is a hot spot. Dad, can I use your hot spot?
I was trying to throw them the alley-oop because once that hot spot on, I don't hear from them. They get that hot spot on, they going to leave you alone. Go ahead. Look. YouTube your life away. Go ahead.
I just don't like it. 4 hours is the most. And we had just got back from a 4-hour road trip with them because we took them to the water park in Illinois. So it was only a week between that.
Illinois, we did Columbus, Ohio, and then right back around and headed to Virginia. So a lot of traveling. We summer in the summer. We summer in the summer.
Airplane me, please. I need a Delta car and some Sky Miles because this is not for the week. It's not.
Look here. But I will say this, though. I'm trying to learn how to separate the stress of traveling with the joy of being with family. And it's hard to do. I struggle with that. But I learned that lesson in Chicago. I remember we went to Chicago. And for those of you who don't know, if you go to Chicago,
don't drive.
Don't go. How about that? Like, it's a beautiful city, but everything costs. Everything costs. You want to park your car to go inside of the mall?
$60.
$60 to park your car on your way to do something for 15 to 20 minutes that costs another $100-something.
Yeah,
like it's an expensive city. By the end of the trip, the kids was hounding us about stuff they wanted to do. Where did we go? What was that restaurant?
A Sugar
with the
Factory.
Drinks? Look, if y'all know about Sugar Factory, they got these like big old drinks that like they be like the smoke billows
Dry
out of
ice,
them. It's candy dry, so all that. Look, by the time we got there, it was like, look, you get one cheeseburger, y'all go split it.
Nobody's getting a
y'all
dry
not getting
ice
no
drink.
you
have a chocolate, hot chocolate.
You can get a hot chocolate, you can get a milkshake, but y'all go split it. Listen here, Miss Bills when we got it was so much.
It was
but I stress so much about money. I stress so much about this. Every time we got to a toll, it took away from the whole experience. I don't remember the joy of just being able to give my kids that experience and be there with them. We're a new blended family. So we're seeing all these things happen by the time. And I feel like that stress kind of rubbed off on them. Like we so worried about, I feel like we're so worried about money that when we go to do stuff, it's like, can we? It's like, oh, wait, no, it's cool. We don't got enough for that. Or like, if we sit in the restaurant, can I just have, like, I don't like the feeling.
I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like the money was the reason. I felt like the reason they couldn't get it is because you don't need a $32 drink. It has nothing to do with how much money we have. You're 6. You do not need a drink that costs $32. You want some candy, we're going to go to Family Dollar. We're going to pack it up. I'm going to pour the Sprite in here, and you're going to be happy with it.
You're right. Okay. I can
like
see that.
To me, that's just... It's a way to vacation, right? And if vacationing well does not mean spending a bunch of money. It means having experiences that you won't forget. And Millennial Park, walking downtown, being on the subway, all those things are experiences that they just don't get on a regular basis because we don't live in that type of city. So we didn't have to do all of that fancy stuff.
We got to learn how to vacation like white people.
Well, that's a little racist.
No, they do it right, culturally speaking. Like, I'll never forget. And we talked about this. I can't remember what season it was, but for those of y'all that rock with the show, you remember when my brother-in-law, Brandy's brother, got married, and they had the joint bachelorette party out in Nashville. The entire trip was planned.
Yes, it was. Like, and down to the when you gonna eat, where you gonna eat.
They knew what they were going to spend. They knew when they weren't gonna spend. They said, hey, from this time, we're gonna go play basketball. That's a free activity. They had it planned. Okay, from this time to this time, we're going to eat at this restaurant. They already looked at the menu. They know what the prices cost.
Sure.
They can budget. We just go places and try to figure it out.
It's true.
Like,
it's facts.
We got to Columbus and was like, hey, so what's the move? Google things to do in Washington, D.C. You gonna go broke.
Yeah,
like,
because they only gonna show you the expensive stuff. Google don't show you.
They don't show you.
Oh, there's a free concert in the park, or there's a pony ride.
You know what I mean?
Zoo. No, they gonna show you Candy Factory. They show you go to the Washington Monument and the souvenir shop and the Smithsonian. So. But we still had fun. We
had fun, but I had stress as well. And I learned from, shout out to my sister-in-law, Erin. Happy birthday, by the way. She just had a birthday. That's our sister. But I learned from her her constituents, her friends, her family. Constituents. I don't know what that word is.
This space got you acting real brand new.
My vocabulary expanded. Look where we at, y'all. But I learned from them about planning. There was gifts. When we got to the Airbnb, there was gifts with our names on them. Mm-hmm. A tumbler cup that said Russell. I said, the thoughtfulness. To this day, I feel like I'm like, man, I can't wait to go back to Nashville. But I feel like it's not going to be what it was. I got to go back with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you can hang with them, that's a young crowd. I can't hang with them no more.
Yeah, not for real.
They did it too big for me. About 9 o'clock, I was like, can we go get ice cream so I can go to sleep? Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to another bar. I don't want to get on another party bus. I don't want to see another drink or a naked cowboy. I'm ready to go home.
But just in general, though, planning before you go somewhere, I'm learning is the move. And I don't think I do. I have an idea. Oh, I want to eat like at a soul food spot. But I don't look what are soul food spots in Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Like, planning is key. Okay. Had a time. I haven't asked you this before. Okay. And I know we swore not to do this on the podcast.
But yeah, you're going to do it.
But I'm going to do it. We're not supposed to unveil new information here. Okay. It's supposed to be things we talked about before.
Don't get your feelings hurt.
I want to know what you thought about my family. And watch your mouth, because you already know they listen.
So then why you ask me the question?
I want you to give me the answer. I want to hear from you.
They were great.
No,
is this my camera? They were great.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Listen, my grandma liked you. It was a lie. All of it was a lie.
So, number one thing is you think you know somebody, right? But you don't really know them until you meet their family, because it makes the person that you're in a relationship with make sense, if that makes any sense. Like, I've never spent an extended period of time with your parents. Like, we go out to eat, we go home. Like, I was with them for 6 days, and then I started to get revelation about who you are as a person and why you are the way that you are, because I got to see each of your parents individually, and I got to see them interact together. And I'm like, all that stuff's starting to make sense.
This is getting deeper than what I thought it was going to be this early. Hey, hold on. Wait a minute. Let me put on what's the truth moment?
No, good and bad,
okay,
right? Right. I definitely see, not to put your parents' business out there, but your argument style.
They don't listen. It's okay.
Your argument style is very similar to your parents.
Both of them?
Yeah.
It's a combination?
It's a combination, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Your dad is very emotional, and your mom is very, like, matter of fact. Mm-hmm. And with that, I get a lot of emotions all at one time, like rapid fire, and then you're calm. And I was like, oh, this makes sense, because they were like going back and forth with each other. But then in the very next moment, we had to do something together, and it was like peace. Like, anything that was happening under the surface, you wouldn't know. And I'm like, that's so Russell. Like, I never know when he's like really upset. And it makes sense because that's how they process.
That's good. That's good.
I saw that.
You observant.
And I also saw your style of how you interact with your cousins, and having the backstory about how they used to pick on you and all this stuff.
It was only 2 of them.
But now seeing on this side the respect that they kind of have for you, and oh man, I'm not gonna say this because they listen, but I just see the different dynamic. And I need
you to say it.
I see the different dynamic.
Hold on, we built a whole platform on just being brutally honest. It's okay. Green light, go.
Okay, I ain't scared. I'm just worried about them calling you.
Go for it. Go for it.
No, so what I saw was you always tell me about how is Matthew and who else? What's his name? Chaz.
Yeah.
They used to pick on you a little bit when you were younger. Yeah. And how that helped shape your transformation in junior high. Like, you were like,
For sure.
They let you hang with them. You felt different. You had to step your game up. So now on the other side, hearing them kind of admire what you're doing, and maybe they're not the cool ones anymore. I'm gonna say that.
Ooh, take that, Matthew. Yeah, Chaz, take that. And I'm clipping this. This might be you too.
It's all love. Like, I love both of them. I'm glad I got a chance to meet them. But I think that it was a power dynamic shift. And I saw them wanting to have conversations with you, where I think previously it was like you wanted to be down, you wanted to hang with them, you wanted to be accepted by them. And now it was kind of a role reversal like that. And it was just interesting to see how you you didn't want to hear it, kind of. Not in a way like, oh, I don't want to hear you, but it's hard for you to take them kind of doting on you, like telling you that they love what you're doing, telling you that they, admire what you're doing and how the words that you give help them. I could see that was weird for you to hear from them.
Yeah, that's weird for me in general. That's weird for me in general. Anybody sitting and just, you're this, you're that. That's weird from anybody. It's additionally weird when it's coming from people that historically, in your mind, didn't respect you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But definitely felt good. Yeah.
Have you ever had that conversation with them?
Yeah, actually, because I was down there a couple weeks before for a funeral, and they had a conversation with me. He was like, "Man, number one, I have more history on where that came from.
Okay,
they were picked on by their older cousins that I didn't have a rapport with because when I was coming up, they were much older.
Okay,
so they weren't playing around with us." But it's just kind of passed down. That's like what we did. He was like, "Man, you think you had it bad?" And he started telling me stuff that they used to do to him. I'm like, I thank God I ain't have it that bad. And on the other hand, like I really, looking back on it, I appreciate what that treatment did for me. Of course, nobody likes being picked on, but it gave me a resilience, and it also like changed my mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like I would come home after them summers and the dude who's like 4 for 5 trying to take my juice. I'm like, bro, if you don't go out here, like it gave me like some gumption. Like that's how I learned how to fight. That's how I like developed that. You know what I mean? My dad worked 3 jobs coming up. At home, it was my cousin, my sister, and my mom, all women.
Yeah.
So had it not been for that dynamic, I'm pretty sure I would have been just real soft. Real soft, for real, for real. I'm almost positive I would have been. So if it wasn't for like the big cousins who was like, man, put your hands up. Like, man, how you trying to fight? You ain't washing your face. Like, slap boxing with me. Yeah, I got slapped up, but it taught me to like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Duck and weave. Protect your chest. You know what I'm saying? So that was really dope. All right. So positive review on the family?
Yeah, I think your family is dope. I really like them. And I think just the spirit of, so your grandmother taking in a lot of kids, they aren't standoffish to new people. Like there are some families that you go to and they don't mess with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been in relationships with people where they like, who is she? Why is she here? You know what I'm saying? You have to prove yourself to be welcomed or accepted by them. And it was not like that. From the moment I walked in, they were hugging, they were talking to me, they came and sought me out, they wanted to know about me. So I thought that was dope. I think, again, your grandmother just welcoming people into her home like that in general and adopting kids and all that, they just ready to love somebody. And so I felt really accepted. I felt really loved. You know me, I'm not shy. I ain't gonna shy away from no conversation. So I was jumping in myself. Learn how to eat crabs. I was one of the girls.
Man, it didn't feel like they knew you already just because of the podcast and the clips and everything. So they was like, man, I feel like I know her, man. When Brandy gonna be? When Brandy? My aunt, when she was saying, Brandy's here? There was a cousin I had never met before, and she was literally, this is no exaggeration, she was treating me like I was Will Smith.
Oh.
Yeah. She was like, I tell all my friends I know you and they don't believe me.
Oh, Lord.
She's like, I repost all your stuff and people will be like, oh my God, I love that poster. That was so cool. Or I follow him on TikTok and she'll be like, oh, that's my cousin. I'm like, okay.
You know, black people, we are cousins anyways.
Now, I had never met her before. And matter of fact, she commented on several things like, hey, I'm your cousin. I never responded because I'm like, I don't know you. But she found out we was coming. She was at my grandma's house like, you remember me? I was like, we are cousins. That's crazy.
You're in trouble. Don't let you get a little bit of money. They all going to come out the woodwork.
That's all right. My no muscle is getting real strong. I'm telling you, try me. Try me. God's got me really like comfortable with or uncomfortable with not having money. So I think that's going to carry over to when I do have money.
He's gotten you real comfortable with having money.
He's got me real uncomfortable with not having money.
Okay.
So that discomfort with it is going to make me hold on to it when I do have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Says the man who said he going to have 6 different cars.
Wait, that's like if we hit the lottery. That's like if we blow up. That's like if I can have 6 cars and it don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Skip.
And who says 6?
Because you on here fronting.
And who has 6?
You did. I need like a car for every day of the week. What?
I never said that.
You are such a liar.
I don't recall.
You're such a liar.
I don't
said,
recall.
We need 2 cars. No, we just got it like that. We should have a car for every day of the week. So
I
that
don't
you want to
recall.
drive this car, you want to drive that car. You know, it's just me and you. We in the 2-seater. It's the kids. We in the G-Wagon. I'm like, wait a minute.
It sounds
what?
like a good life to me.
What?
I don't see what the
You
problem
can drive
is.
one car at a time. You need a car. I need a car. Period. We don't need all that.
Look here, no one needs it, but it is fly to have, though.
Yeah, okay, whatever. But no, Virginia was fun. I don't want to go back driving anytime soon, but your grandparents are getting older, and I know, like you said, you saw that the difference from the last time you were down there 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
To now, you can see how they have aged. And me not having my grandparents being under your grandma Grace was like, I mean, I was like a kid in a candy store. I was literally hanging on to her everywhere because she just reminds me so much of my grandma, real soft-spoken, full of knowledge. She was talking to me about AI. Like,
my grandma?
Yes.
Oh, I missed that combo.
It was like, hold on, like, how old are you? But she knew more than I knew. And she was just telling me, and she's like, you got to be careful about that. You got to watch the kids and she started to explain, how she's been studying up on this stuff. And I was like, wow, she's just so full of wisdom. She's a really dope person.
She is. And she's been talking, like a lot of the stuff I put out now, I can see where it comes from. A lot of it comes from my dad, but I know where that comes from.
Yeah.
Like,
From
there's no just talking to my grandma. It's always deep. There's always some like gotcha, get you. Like if she's talking to you about a story or something, there's always a lesson there.
Yeah,
like, and I remember being a kid, like, oh, can we go over to my other grandma's house?
Where's fun? They
There's
got kids over there.
like sitting over there so quiet, and she would just talk to me about stuff. But that stuff seeps in, it sinks in, and there's a huge part of who I am today because of those conversations. You know what I mean?
Part of our, I hate to say this, but I feel like a part of our generation, a part of our culture that's dying off. Grandparents are younger and getting younger and younger, and they don't got them stories. They don't got that wisdom. Grandma's still at the club. Like, I need you to sit down somewhere and pour into me.
The young grandmas, I work at a school now, and they be like, that's my grandma. That's your grandma?
She's 40. How was that your grandma?
The grandmas be coming in hitting on me. I'm like, how old are you? Hold on, mama, like, relax.
No, but that's something that I just feel like we're missing. Like, I see even my mom, you know what I'm saying? My mom's 20 years older than me. But just like that, sit down, let me talk to you, let me teach you. She doesn't have that with my kids. She spoils them rotten. But just like talking to them and teaching them the way my grandma did, having me sit down and read the Bible, taking me to church. Like, that's just stuff that our kids these days aren't getting. And it makes me really sad. And so sitting up under her, even when we were there, y'all were telling stories about back in the day, and the kids was like,
I ain't gonna lie. If I
can I
had,
have some candy? Like, they don't care about none of that.
well, I ain't gonna hold you up. When I was a kid, if I had a cell phone, I would have been in that thing. Like, the only reason I was listening is because I had no choice. I was captive.
Well, they should not have a choice. They
didn't have any toys, like no toys, no nothing. Can I get some paper? Can I draw?
No,
like, I'm just sitting there listening to this grown folk conversation.
Soak this up. Let me talk to you about how it used to be. These kids got it too easy now. They don't understand. Like, we had a conversation just before we left. Our kids were calling each other monkeys and cotton pickers. And it pissed me off because I'm like, y'all don't even know what that means. Y'all have no understanding of the context of those two words. And y'all sitting here calling each other that like it's funny. Like, my grandma sat me down and told me what it was like for her to try to go to school and people throwing things at her, and their school was segregated and the white side of the town and stores she couldn't go into. Like, she actually picked cotton. She actually worked as a maid. Like, things that y'all thinking is funny and thinking is an insult, but because y'all don't have that wisdom and y'all that disconnected from our past, y'all think it's funny and y'all think it's a game. And I was ready to rip both of them a new one because I was irritated.
I gave him some grace. Because I do agree with you. Like, the sensitivity of being black is starting to disappear a little bit. Like, there used to be a real cultural sensitivity. Like, coming up, unless you look like me, you couldn't say the N-word.
Absolutely.
But I recall talking to my grandparents and them saying, why you say that? And me being like, nah, you don't understand. Like, it's not like what it
taking the
was
power
with them.
back.
I wouldn't even be in that deep. Like, I didn't even frame that language. I was a teenager. But to me, it was just like, it's not like it was back then. You know what I mean? Like, white people saying it, but we just, it's just like a term of expression. But I remember them having that sensitivity. But to this day, we just talk like that because culturally and generationally, we frame this language to make light of our experience as well as express our experience. I don't know what it's like growing up being a black kid in this day and age, but on the other side of it, because I do agree with you, like, y'all have no idea what these terms mean. Y'all have no idea, like, the history behind it. I do think there is a small emphasis on small.
You about to say something, you're just gonna irritate me.
It's just another way of looking at it. It's a small piece where this is a byproduct of change. The reason why the sensitivities don't exist is because they don't live in the world that we lived in. The same reason why we have language that's uncomfortable for them, because we didn't live in the same world that our grandparents grew up in. They are so far removed from slavery. This generation is so far. My kids are so far removed from the black experience of our grandparents that there's no way they can even fathom the pain behind those words. And they should know the history, but they should. I feel like the tension of being a black man needs to die. And I'm glad that my kids are not living in the same tension that I had. Like, I'm glad that the word monkey and cotton picker does not have the same power that it had over me.
I agree in the sense that the words don't have the same insult.
That's why I said small
next to them.
It's very small
as they used to. But I still don't think that it makes it okay for them to use it. And so having Michael is like really the depiction of everything that you talked about. So most of his friends are Caucasian. He has a small subset of black friends, but they're all really integrated. And his experience with them, unfortunately, has been where they've been treated very similar to each other. It hasn't been a big difference between your white friends and your black friends. Yeah. Except for then when he goes out into the world and tries to behave in a manner that his white friends do, and he will not get the same treatment. Yeah. Point blank, period. He's talked about how many times he's been pulled over versus how many times his white friends have said they've been pulled over. And he doesn't understand because me being a young mom, I didn't have those conversations with him. And it's a context that he's missing out on that will become a part of his experience as a black man in this world. And I don't think he's adequately prepared for that.
You don't think it's going to change?
Yeah, not in our lifetime, no.
In his, though. Like, so the kids that he plays with, they're the police officers when he gets older. Like, the kids who there's not that much difference between how they're treated and how in their friend groups, these are the police officers, these are the judges, these are the lawyers, these are the future. Yeah. And the way they see black people, the way black culture is seen now and revered now is different than what it was. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I think there's a change in the people, but there has to be a change in the systems. And if there's not a change in the systems, then the people who go work in them just perpetuate the racism that's happening in the systems. There are a bunch of dope white people that I work with right now that I know for a fact aren't racist, but they work within a racist system. And people are promoted and congratulated and helped and assisted disproportionately, and they just go to work there. They don't feel empowered to make that change. So unless we start having those conversations, those kids having conversations with their black friends about how they can make that change happen, they just go into a system and perpetuate it. It doesn't matter if you're a judge who happens to like black people and really get along with them. If the legal system is meant to hinder and incarcerate black people, you just work within that system.
Yeah. And this is where, you call me a conspiracy theorist and all that stuff.
'Cause you are.
In my experience, I don't put a lot of stock. This is going to sound bad when I first say it, so give me a chance to explain it. I don't put a lot of stock in people.
Period. I mean, you shouldn't.
Like, for instance, the idea of racism, I don't believe was created by the people. I feel, I feel like those things were intentionally put out there to divide, right?
By people.
Yes, but people who are not the people walking by every day side by side. It's the people who you will never be in the same room with. Like, they're the people with money, the Rockefeller, like the huge billion-dollar people that run the world. Not governments, but money runs the world. And these are the war on drugs. That was a government system that was put in place.
By people.
Yes, but I'm talking about the people every day that you rub shoulders with. So the guy who lives in Appalachia, West Virginia, with the Confederate flag, and I hate black people. I'm the white man, I'm superior. Sir, you're in the same impoverished situation as this black person by here, and you don't understand that the divide that's been placed between you and him was very intentional. Because if you really understand what it's not about white versus black. It's about the majority against the rich. It's about the people who don't have, the middle class, against the people who obtain power by wealth and want to hold on to power. And they do that by creating divide between it, because they know if all of these people know who to really direct their energy to, then it's game over with. If we know how to direct our attention to the people that matter, but instead, let's make them quarrel amongst each other. Let's make them quarrel amongst each other over white is better than black. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think that furthermore solidifies the fact that the people that Michael is hanging out with when they go into work, and they're not going to make a difference between the systematic racism that is just in place.
I don't think any of them are going to make a difference.
When you're the one talking about the change, dude, when you think it's changing and we're going to see change, my answer is no.
Well, I mean, just so for instance, we don't know the type of racism that our grandparents had, where just walking down the street makes you a target in the wrong neighborhood. Right? Like, when we hear about those, it's front page news. Trayvon Martin, it's like, oh my God.
Yes.
Can you believe this? Michael Brown.
That was their reality.
That was their reality, but it's not it's the exception, not the rule.
Yes.
Like, those are rare occasions. It's like, oh my God, can you believe this happened? Versus, this is everybody's experience. Don't go over there because they're going to throw rocks at you and chase you out of town. That's not our experience most of the time. And when you do hear about those things, it's like, oh my God. So when I say change, I'm speaking about just your everyday experience as a black man, right? I have and still to this day, present day, experience prejudices, but they by far do not compare to the stuff that my grandparents went through.
Absolutely not.
And I believe that the things that I experienced, my son and his son is going to be drastically different. I just think the more and closer we get, amongst each other, like, I feel like it just naturally breaks down those things.
Welcome to our relationship podcast, where we talk about racism in America.
Yo, we definitely just went down a crazy rabbit hole. How much? Oh, we're 32 minutes into the podcast. Ain't talked about a relationship. How did we even get here?
Well, because we were talking about the kids calling each other monkeys and cotton pickers. But
all right.
The kids are doing it every time. Get you all off track.
Look, our fan base rock with us at this point. They family now. They're like, I'm with you. This good conversation.
And no, for real, it is. And I think that even though our podcast is based on relationships, like the relationship that we have with people in general matters. And it's a disservice if we don't talk about how we relate to the people that we have to interact with every single day.
Yeah.
So it's not just romantic relationships, but it's all the relationships that you have to deal with. And as someone who is black and works in corporate America, I can tell you that is something that I need to talk about every now and again, because it's rough. It's real rough.
I'm unfortunate. I haven't had to deal with racism in the workplace.
You're very fortunate. But I think you still do. You just don't know it.
Yeah. The people I work side by side with, my immediate supervisor, have always been people who look like me or I feel incredibly comfortable around them. And I know that's not the case for a lot of people. So
absolutely not.
I consider myself blessed.
Okay. So do you want to talk about what we talked about a little bit earlier in our last little bit of time here?
I don't know. I'm scared.
What are you scared of?
Because every time we go here, it just gets a little heated.
That's okay.
I don't like it.
You're trying to say we can't argue well? We sit here and tell these people all the time how to argue and how to have a thoughtful conversation with passion, but not let it interrupt your relationship. And
It always sounds
we can't do that.
It always sounds great when we say that.
But you're saying we can't do that.
I'm saying sometimes you're not good at it.
Oh.
I'm playing. I'm just joking. I'm playing.
I'll knock all this stuff out.
No, I'm playing.
Let's be clear.
Don't be petty, Ryan.
Shots fired.
I got a shot fire button. I ain't gonna hit it. Nah, so we always talk about like moments in the podcast that are a little bit triggering for us, right? Certain clips of the podcast that we don't listen to because there's still tension there a little bit, right? So there's this one that I talked about before we left to even come here and record. And it was this clip that every time I hear it, I'm like, that don't make no sense, right? And people, I gotta stay out the comment section too, because people in the comment section be saying stuff. I'm like, yeah, you right. See, I should have said that in that. Yeah, that's a good point, brother.
It's always a shoulda, woulda,
It's always a shoulda, woulda, coulda.
So tell me what you shoulda, coulda, woulda said when we was having the conversation.
There's a clip, right, where we discussed infidelity in relationships, and we got to a point where we were talking about what warrants communication, what doesn't warrant communication. So we talked about, okay, what would you do if somebody came to you and told you that they saw or heard about me doing anything or heard you doing anything that led to infidelity? I saw him with another girl at the movies. I saw he's been texting my friend or he been messing around with da-da-da-da. I was on the side of, I would just communicate. Like, I would have the conversation. And you were on the side of, quote me if I'm wrong.
No, I don't want you to quote me. I'm gonna tell you what side I was.
See, look how you all aggressive already. Look at you.
Because
see, look how aggressive you are already.
That's where we get all messed up, is when you try to tell me what I meant. Let me tell you what I meant.
But hold on, before you go. So let's have the conversation not like we had it already.
No, so I think this is something that, okay, we have the shoulda, woulda, couldas in relationships, right? We all have been in an argument, and then 10 minutes or 2 days after the argument is over, you're like, man, I should have said. I could have told him, and you want to go back into it, but you don't want to rock the boat because you already done made up. So this is like a little nugget. When you go back into a conversation, it's okay to go back and revisit an argument or a disagreement or something that you need to clear up. But you need to state your intention before going back into it. So it's just not a rehashing of the argument. So what is your intention of having this conversation?
This is good. My intent is to prove you wrong in front of everybody. No.
You're going to fail miserably.
I'm playing. My intent is to get some clarity for the people who are listening on this subject. This is a personal thing for me, but my favorite moments are when we are on the same page and we give a clear, concise view on something. No, it's quite a bit where we end with some sort of like, yeah, I see that. Okay. I don't like the episodes where we just leave with, well, this is what you think, this is what I think, and y'all figure it out for yourselves.
Okay, so your intent is to clear the air and get on the same page.
Get on the same page, because I think in the communication there are assumptions of what's being said, and there's area where we can give more clarity. Like, oh, I understand that. Because I'm not sure I 100% understand what you were saying. Okay. Yeah. And I don't think you understand what I'm saying either.
My intention on having this conversation again is to voice my opinion and to have you understand what that is, but not necessarily sway you to my side. So I want to make sure I don't. I want to make sure that you understand me. I want to feel like I've been heard, but I want you to respect where I'm coming from and where I came from in that argument. And if you don't agree with it, just agree to disagree.
For sure.
So go ahead. Tell me what you would like to say.
So did we already explain what this was about?
Yes, you said about cheating and confronting versus not confronting based on just what somebody said.
This is what I didn't get. It felt, the initial feeling felt, I don't know. When I was talking about bringing it to you, like if somebody said they saw you doing something, when I said, in my mind, my first instinct is, well, let me just communicate.
Yes.
It felt like you were very, how dare you communicate this to me? That's what I felt. I felt like it was like, yo, you gonna come to me about something somebody said? Okay. And I was like, well, hold on. Like, what else should I do? And you said, well, you should do your own, investigation first before you come to me. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, if somebody tells me something, going off in my corner and doing homework about, okay, she said she was here at this time, but she at this time. Before I come to you with it, just feels like, I don't know. I wasn't feeling that.
Okay, so let me clarify what I was saying. I think, number one, you found offense with me saying that I would be offended if you came to me and accused me or confronted me about something that somebody said to you. That does not mean that we can't still have a conversation about it. And I think that's what you felt. I can have a conversation with you inside of my offense and tell you that I'm offended, but also give you the answers that you seek to make sure that you have peace of mind about what somebody said to you. I don't want to be confronted with a rumor, period. And if I am confronted with a rumor, I'm going to be offended. That's just who I am. Like, I'm going to take offense. That doesn't mean we can't have a conversation. That mean I can't clear it up. It don't mean none of that. It just means, like, you might have to deal with a little bit of attitude. Because, like, how dare you?
So, and that's the problem right there. How dare I?
Yeah.
How dare I communicate?
It's not you. It's how dare them. Spread the rumor. Not you. Don't take offense to it.
But this is, I think, what keeps a lot of people, and this is where we kind of just differ. There are some people who are completely comfortable sitting in tension. There's some people who are completely content and cool with having a tense conversation and have it out. And they can go right about their business, sleep good at night.
Yes, that's me.
I'm not that. If we have tension, I'm up at night while you snoring next to me. And I got even more of an attitude, like, you just gonna sleep peacefully?
Yes, I
After
am.
we done had this.
Because it's some blood.
Like, that's, so people like me, when we know that what I say could offend you, we try to avoid being offensive.
That's something you need to work on.
Or, on the other hand, and this is where I think we just need to agree to disagree, I don't think feelings are outside of our control, right? I think feelings are something everybody's subject to. You have your feelings, you're entitled to them. Just because you're entitled to them doesn't mean that you don't have the due diligence of working on them. Your emotions, your feelings, directing them in the right way, right? So just because, this is offensive to me, so I'm offended, doesn't mean you're right in that. And I think you should do some work on, okay, is this worth tension? Or, as my partner in life, do I want him to come to me with this? Like, I don't want you to hear something about me and be off in a corner doing where was he at this time, at that time? Now, who told me this? Dang, it was. She'd be kind of jealous sometimes. I don't know if she'd be lying. Just come talk to me. Let's clear this up. Because meanwhile, you over there doing your investigation, and maybe you don't say something, and then it sits and stirs in your spirit, and now by week 3, you ready to go through my phone and all of that.
But it doesn't have to be all of that.
But if we're being honest, most of the time it does go like that. Not between us, but in relationships in general.
There are some things that can seem believable, right? Somebody tells me something that I already felt you were lying about anyways. And I'm like, you know what? That seems believable. Let me go have a conversation with him. But when it's something that is so obtuse to who I know you to be as a person, I just don't feel like I need to confront or question or ask you. Now, what we talked about earlier is I did say that I would just say, if it was something that I really didn't believe, I would come to you and let you know at least what's being said about you. I owe you that as my husband. Somebody's talking negatively about you, whether it's a rumor about you cheating or just about you having bad breath, whatever it is, like if somebody's talking negatively about you, I'm going to tell you. I can choose not to buy into that, and I can choose not to question you about something that I don't have a doubt about. Yeah. If I don't have a doubt about you cheating on me, I'm not going to question you about it. I will tell you that somebody said it, but beyond, Russell, this such and such said this, and I just need you to know that this being said, I don't need you to try to explain to me. I'm not going to question you about where you were, who you were with, how you got there. I'm not going to do that to you, and I'm not going to do that to myself, because once I let that doubt creep into my mind, it's going to live there, and it's going to turn into something bigger, whether we have a conversation or not. I'm going to continue to think about that. Why would somebody say that? You know what? He didn't call me then, and when I checked his location, it was a little off from where. And I'm going to try to make what they say make sense if I allow that to penetrate my mind. So what I choose to do is deal with you as the person that you are right here in front of me. And I believe wholeheartedly that if you are doing something to violate our covenant, that God will expose that. And I don't have to drive myself crazy trying to figure it out.
Why does that negate the ability to have a conversation absent of offense? God can expose it and all of that. But I guess I just don't understand why we need to introduce offense with someone doing the due diligence to have a conversation about information. So say you go in your corner and you do your homework, right? Someone says they saw me in Detroit at a restaurant with another female. On the day, dang, you realize, oh, shoot, that was the day he was in the studio.
If I have doubt, I'm going to come ask you.
But it's completely obtuse to who you know me to be. You don't have doubt. You never had any doubt prior to this conversation. And remember, this is the scenario you said on the last episode. You had no doubt about me prior to that conversation. But somebody says they saw me in a restaurant in Detroit with a female on a day that you know I was in Detroit at a studio. You know what I'm saying? Do you not just have a conversation with me, or do you?
No, I would. The truth is, if there's anything that is bothering me about our dynamic, I'm going to have a conversation with you about it. Yeah. How you interpret that conversation is completely up to you, right? I'm going to come to you with my doubts, my fears, my anxieties, whatever it is. And if you are offended by that conversation, I can't control that. But what I can control is how I bring the information to you and what I expect to see as a result of that conversation. Yeah. I have a lot of experience with cheaters, unfortunately. And one thing I know about somebody that is a cheater is they are synonymously also a liar. So if I'm really coming to you with questions or concerns about you cheating, I do not believe that you're also just going to sit there and confess, yes, I'm cheating. So for me, I need to have proof of that. If I'm going to confront you about something, I'm not just going to confront you about something that somebody said. I'm going to come to you with facts, proof, and evidence so you can't deny it. Even when you try to lie, I already got the answer to the lie.
So this is where, let me say two things. First thing is, there's a lot, and I hate using this word because it's one of the most overused terms in relationship conversations right now. It's two words: narcissist and gaslighting. The most overused words in relationship, and I hate it. But true textbook gaslighting is under the guise of kind of what you're articulating, not what you're saying, but how some people will weaponize it. You come to me with a legitimate concern. I flip it into it being about me being offended about you bringing it to me, versus me just having a legitimate concern about some information I heard, maybe from a trusted source, maybe from somebody I love. Maybe I don't have doubts, but I do want an explanation as to why you were here. Maybe I were in the middle of the music session and you took a break to go get some food.
And you deserve that.
Support that. But if I flip it, maybe I'm there just because I am cheating. But if I flip it, and now, oh man, I can't even believe you would even come to me like that. And now I'm offended. This is what I'm saying. We do have a due diligence, even though you're entitled to how you feel. With you being entitled to that, you are also obligated to weigh, work on, and measure the contents of your heart. If you're offended, do some soul search and say, why does this offend me? Yes, you don't want to believe that you don't want the person that you're with to believe that you would cheat. But do I really want to set a tone with my expression that this is offensive? Because for somebody like me that loves you, I don't want to offend you. So now the next time I have some minor concerns, I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to keep it to myself because I don't want her to be offended. I don't want her to be upset. Now, a conversation that I could have had and just got out the way with, now I'm sitting in and it's stewing in me, and maybe something that could have been clear with conversation is now turned into a full-blown paranoia. And every time you leave, it's like, I wonder I wonder what's going on now.
But see, I think that's a you problem and the people that are like you problem in the fact that
For sure.
Somebody being offended means
Yeah.
that it has to be confrontational. It does not.
No, it doesn't have to be confrontational, but people like you, when you get offended, it does feel confrontational. Like, so I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but my experience with you is when you offended and you get animated, your voice gets boisterous, you get to doing all this.
Have we walked?
You know what I'm saying?
Have we worked through that though? Have we been in a conversation where it starts like that and then we work through that?
Yes, we have.
What's the problem?
But what I'm saying is that not everything warrants offense. Just because you feel like that
Not
doesn't
everything
mean
warrants a conversation.
this does. This does. If there's a legitimate, someone told you something, they're a trusted source. Maybe you don't believe it. Maybe it doesn't line up with who they are, but it does warrant clearing the air.
I just think that number one, it just what matters more to me is how you come to me with the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If you come to me as just a source of you're providing a source of information, I'm not going to be offended. If you just, hey, somebody said this, just thought you should know or have a heads up. But if you want to have a legitimate conversation about where I was, who I was with, and how I got there, and whether I lied to you or not, based off just something that somebody told you, I'm sorry. In my initial reaction, especially if I know that I've done nothing wrong, I'm going to take it to heart. I'm going to take it to heart that somebody was able to come in and speak a couple words to you and it changed the way the person that you know me to be and who I've been to you. It matters to me. And I don't know, I've dealt with a myriad of cheaters and I've just dealt with being lied on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good when you know you've done nothing wrong, but somebody just intentionally wants to come in and disrupt what you have going on. And so they start rumors and they make up lies about you, and it affects the way that the person that you love sees you. I just don't feel like anybody should have the power to change the way that you feel about me and what you know to be true about me. So if you have no suspicions and then somebody comes to you and says, Brandy did this, and that thought introduces enough doubt into your mind that you now feel like you have to question me about something that you never had a question on before, I'm sorry, I'm going to feel offended by that.
I see. The truth of the matter is, though, like, there's a lot of people right now being cheated on by someone they have no idea. The person that they're in a relationship with doesn't exist. It's a facade. They're so caring. They're so loyal. They're so this. They're so that. And they're presented this idea of who somebody is, and they're being cheated on. That's a reality.
Absolutely.
So for us to just negate the conversation or to choose offense, there has to be like some room, and there has to be some room between like being interrogated and just having a conversation.
I agree with that.
You want to know where I'm at. You want to know who I'm doing. You want to do that. Why does it have to be that?
That's why I said the way you present
You're
the
just saying,
information
like,
to me.
how it comes to you.
Yeah, it matters.
Yeah.
And also who you're dealing with matters, because although I believe that there is a small subset of people out here in the world who are being cheated on and who don't know. A large majority of the people know, they just don't want to believe it.
I think there is a fraction of people. I don't think I'm willing to put a small number on that.
I think it's small. It's very hard if you live and you are in relation with somebody, especially in a marriage where y'all live in the same house, y'all share everything, to not have an inkling that they are spending time and are emotionally invested in another person. Now, if he just going out and having sex with prostitutes, then maybe not. But if he is having a sexual or intimate relationship with another person, I'm just saying he because I'm a girl, but girls cheat too.
About to say, you seem
girls
real
cheat too.
discriminate.
Girls is players too. I know. But, you know, I think it's hard. Now, you can choose not to see that. There are people who are just consciously oblivious. I don't want to know. It might be going on, but don't bring it to me. As long as I don't feel it, it doesn't disrupt what we have going on, then cool, you can do what you want to do. There are people who literally have that mindset. But I think the subset of people who are in a happy, healthy relationship with their partner, but their partner's in a happy, healthy relationship with somebody else, they know.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a happy, healthy relationship. Like, they could just be having sex with someone. And I feel like you're completely underestimating how good some people lie. like especially people who have professions where they can be gone for extended period of time. These truck drivers, I'm gone for the week.
Yeah, I mean, there are people in the military who are stationed overseas and are in a whole new relationship and marriage. I just think it's a small subset of people who don't know, who have no clue that that's happening.
Yeah. I'm not sure I have enough evidence to put the small in front of it. I think there's a lot of people who are going to the grave with affairs.
Yeah.
And they never got caught. The person they was with never had an inkling. And they said, you know what? I'm going to take this one to the grave. It was just one time, or it was just 2 times. It went on for maybe a year. Never got caught. Like, it happens. The bottom line, and I think this is where I think I want to end up.
On the same page.
And this is what I feel like we didn't have enough of the conversation to kind of get to the same page. I do think we were saying the same thing because you were landing on the offense and I was landing on the communication. I think we are both. You're not saying that there shouldn't be a conversation.
No, I just said if I'm offended in the conversation, that's what it is.
It was just in the episode you was all beefy and like, if you come, so you gonna come. Like
it's gonna be a problem. But if somebody can change your opinion of me just by telling you something, I got an issue with you now.
But this was a miscommunication. That my opinion of you changed, that I thought something of you that I didn't before. But the truth of the matter is that like there's so much area where we need communication, right? Yes. And if I trust you enough to where I don't need to have a conversation, then I should trust you enough that if we do have the conversation, that it means something to me.
It'll never be a time on this podcast or in my life where I will advocate for not communicating. If you
that's why I left.
Thought, opinion, itch, tell me about it. I'm fine, but I'm just saying.
And that's why
if you come talk to me and I'm offended, so that's what it is. Now let's deal with the offense.
Now hold on. If you're saying that you advocate for communication, how are you upset when there's communication? That's what I don't get.
Offended does not mean that I'm upset with you. It doesn't mean that we have to yell. Sometimes it's just my pride is hurt or my feelings are hurt because you came to me with that. It doesn't mean that. We've had plenty of conversations where I've been offended and you would never know about it.
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay.
I think when you're offended, I feel it wholeheartedly, and I think I
think you're wrong.
Give me one conversation where you were offended and I had no idea.
I mean, we have conversations all the time where I get offended by what you say, and I don't say anything to you about it.
Just because you don't say anything to me about it doesn't mean I don't feel.
Okay, when's the last time you thought I was offended by a conversation that we had?
Okay, I don't know.
Exactly.
First of all, who's keeping a record?
Exactly.
Like, I don't even record a conversation.
You just asked me for an example, but then tell me that you're not keeping record. Me either. It happens though.
When I copped the attitude in the car, you were offended on the way back from Virginia.
That was obvious.
Huh?
That was obvious.
It's always obvious.
It's not.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not.
So look.
It's not. Sometimes you say little snide things to me that offend me, and you would never know. We continue on with the conversation and like nothing ever happened. Because every offense doesn't mean I have to confront you about it.
You're just really expressive. Like, even though you don't like make a conversation about it, your face will do something, you'll sigh, you'll be like.
There have been many a times on this podcast where you've tried to shush me and I get offended and you never know about it.
I feel it though.
Okay. You felt it today? When you were telling me to just shut up and so you could finish your conversation? When we were talking about this earlier?
Yes.
You're a liar.
Listen.
You're only saying that because I just told you.
No, look at me. Baby, look at me.
I'm not going to do that. I'm listening.
You're not going to look at me?
I'm listening.
Right hand to God on both of my children, I felt that. I felt it when, I can't remember where we were at. Something was going on. You was getting hyped and I was like, shh. And I shushed you. I can't remember what it was. You were getting hype about something, and I was like, shush. You remember that? I don't remember what it was about.
Fridays? I don't know. I wasn't offended then, though.
Not Fridays, no. What was going on? And you was trying to turn up. And you even talked to somebody was like, but Russell shushed me or something.
Yeah, it wasn't Fridays.
It wasn't Fridays. It wasn't. And I was like, Like, I was literally like, no. And you were like, and I felt it. I felt it today when I told you, like, just let me finish my thought. And you went, you let me finish my thought, but I felt it. This, you might not know this, but this is my area of genius. I'm not playing with you. I am not playing with you. I think everybody has a,
I'm listening.
I think everybody has an area of genius. I think everyone has a degree of genius. Some people have it with sound. Some people have it with like logistics. Mine is emotions. I've never had no schooling about it, but I'm fluent with it. I feel it on a cosmic level. When I go into a room and there's tension, I don't need to know what's going on. I can feel it like a thermometer. Mm-hmm. You don't got to believe me. Say what you want.
I'm listening to you.
No, you're fake. But this is what I'm saying. You're not saying anything, but I can feel it.
What can you feel?
I feel, well, first of all, when I said it, I felt, nigga, please. That's what I first felt. And you expressed that even when you said.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
but even right now when I'm talking, I feel like you don't know,
That's not what I'm thinking at all.
Okay.
See?
I don't know what you're thinking. I'm talking about feeling. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I feel like everybody has a degree of genius. I feel like mine is in the area of emotions. Mm-hmm. So there's things that I perceive that I'll never put voice to, but I feel it. And in all the at times that you say you felt that I was offended, we've had conversations, we've moved past, with no damage to our relationship, no damage to the dynamics that are happening in the moment. You are ignoring the fact that you know that I'm offended, and I'm not choosing not to voice the fact that I'm offended, but we still have productive conversations and get to a resolution, even though one of us is offended. This is the same scenario that I'm outlining here. I can be offended, but I can still have an adult conversation with you about what your concerns are without it being an issue. Yeah. We're not saying something different.
No, so that's what I was saying in the overall picture. In that clip, when I was saying, if you come to me, I'm going to be offended by it. But it doesn't mean you don't come to me. That doesn't mean we don't have a conversation, because my offense does not negate the need to have a conversation. I feel
that in this conversation. You need to go back and watch the episode, because it definitely was not advocating for communication. It was.
So you felt.
Go back and watch it and tell me what you feel. Because when I go back and watch it, it's, so you gonna come talk to me? So someone say something to you and you gonna come ask me? Like that, all of that, the tone, the volume, the cadence is like, I wish you would. It's not like, hey, look, I'll be offended, but let's have the conversation. That's not what I felt from that first conversation, which is why we need to just follow up. For us
revisiting this conversation, what I hope you understand is, if you come to me and try to confront, discuss a rumor that someone has told you that you feel you need to come and talk to me about, if I feel offended, if I get offended in the conversation, it does not negate the need to still have the conversation. Number one, for your peace of mind. And number two, so that there's not things happening outside of our relationship about me nor you that one of us don't know about. It doesn't mean that we don't have the conversation if one of us gets offended. We still need to have the conversation.
For sure.
Period.
Now,
that's where I'm putting my period.
What I would like to put my period on is manage your offense. It's not an uncontrollable trigger.
It's not. Maybe I choose to be offended.
Yes. Thank you. I think sometimes as humans, not you in this specific scenario, I just mean in general, human beings, we choose offense in areas that are 100% reflective of what's going on in us internally and have nothing to do with the other person. And your offense harms the people that love you. And not a lot of people know that. Yes, you being offended is your personal feelings. After you're offended, do the due diligence of going back and saying, did they really mean to offend me? Were they trying to hurt me? Did that warrant my feelings being hurt? Would I want them to come to me with that? Yeah, it didn't feel good. But would I rather them come to me rather than just keep that to themselves and stew over it and get paranoid? Now I want them to talk to me, so maybe I should give them some grace. And next time, approach it with more openness. Like, offense is not an open door policy. Like, yeah, you're warranted to feel that way, but it does keep people away from fruitful conversations. I think some people have the ability to be offended and still work the way conversation. I'd say that they're more of the minority than the majority.
But I also think that some people just have a negative connotation of what it means to be offended. And like, we should always avoid feeling offended. Sometimes offense helps you identify.
Now, why are you going to argue with my period? I didn't do that with your period.
I'm talking, we're on a podcast. I'm further explaining what it means for some people to be offended. Sometimes you can't heal a wound that you don't acknowledge is there. So once I know that, oh, okay, when people come and confront me about lies and rumors, I get offended. That's something I need to deal with. But I'm not going to know that unless I feel the offense first.
For sure.
So sometimes our feelings and our emotions are just triggers to let us know that there's something deeper there that we need to explore. And if a conversation offends me and I need to go back and do further investigation about why I'm offended, then the offense had a purpose.
Yeah. If you utilize them the right way, and that's what I'm advocating for. Because a lot of people don't do that. It's just, this is just how I feel. I'm entitled to my feelings, and this is just, it is what it is. This is me. And that's just where we ended at. And we sit in tension. And people like me, I'm not going to have this conversation with you. You're not going to receive it. It's going to create tension between us. I'm not going to leave with any resolve. It's just we had an argument. I'm not going to waste a whole night of my life beefing with you about something that I know you're not going to have a fruitful conversation for. So that's why I'm advocating for exactly what you just said. Yeah, I'm offended. Okay, after that, go back and say, why did that offend me? Because there's some people who get offended by stuff that other people are like, it's not a big deal to me. Everybody is the way they are for a reason, and we got to do that soul searching on our own. So I do think we were saying the same thing. I do think we just kind of pitch our tent in different areas of emphasis, right? Because the truth of the matter is, I think if you came at me in accusatory fashion, I'm with you. If it felt accusatory, I'd be like, yo, what are you saying to me? I agree with you 100% on that. I also hope you agree with me on the fact that if I heard something about you, you wouldn't want me to keep that to myself.
No.
Yeah, like you would want to have the conversation. So I think we're on the same page. How do you think we did with the revisit? How do you think we did?
I mean, this is like our third time revisiting this conversation. So if it's not wrapped up now, it'll never be. I definitely hear where you're coming from. And again, never will advocate for not having at least a conversation, especially when it's something that's bothering you, because we talked about those internal talks that we have with ourselves. If you're not having a conversation with me, you're having a conversation with yourself. And then when you have that conversation, you're able to make up and draw up any kind of conclusion you want to outside of me having impact on that. So I would rather you have a conversation with me. I just think how you have a conversation can determine how it goes or not go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Had a conversation, but do it in the right way. Yeah, this was good. I'm going to give myself a round of applause. I get nervous.
Give yourself a round of applause.
Just me. Just me by myself. Not us.
Happy moment.
I think revisiting tense conversations for me, is difficult. It's difficult.
I just think that you have an aversion to tense conversations, and I don't
like who I've become. Some people are comfortable with that side of them. I am not. I'd much rather be like happy, positive, and affirming. When I go to the other side where I'm like, I'm gonna get you here, I'm gonna get you there, or even in my real bad times when I say stuff to like cut and antagonize, I don't like that version of me. And when I feel like he's starting to emerge himself, it makes me uncomfortable.
You know that there's a middle between happy-go-lucky and going for the jugular, right?
Yeah, my middle is real slippery. So when I start going to the middle,
that's something you got to work on.
I just rather not.
Conversations are necessary. Like we're going to have conversations where the stakes are high.
I say I body them.
All right. So
I feel like our whole podcast is tense conversation.
We're going to be going live on Thursday.
We talk, nah, you don't do it to me. We come on here every week and we be talking about all our personal business. And I think, well, mate, you don't know who I used to be. Compared to him to now, I think I'm doing a great job. I'm patting myself on the back. Yes, there's room for improvement. Okay. There's always room for growth. Okay. But you're not going to do that to me.
Well, I tell you, no, I mean, we have to. You're in a relationship with somebody who's going to confront it. Like if it's something I gotta say, I'm gonna say it. So I think, unfortunately, even though you don't enjoy it, you have to get used to being in that space. And I think that you do very well. Like there's not a conversation that I brought to you and you're like, we're just not gonna talk. We can't talk about this. Like we have the conversation. It might be
in the beginning. It was touch and go to
what.
You remember we used to shut down, both of us. Like if it got to a point where it got tense, we would just stop talking about it and just dead it. Come back to it later.
I think because a lot of people, us included, have not seen people argue successfully. Like an argument means a fight, people not speaking to each other for 3 days. It's
Can
tension
you
building
argue
in the house.
successfully?
Yes, absolutely.
I feel
Lawyers
like-
do it all the time.
I just feel like arguments is like the negative side of conversation.
It's not.
Because if we're,
And that's a problem.
I feel
Arguments are so necessary.
I think there's disagreements, and I think that's the healthy version of when we're arguing, and because arguing to me is like synonymous with your tone being crazy, you're going into
don't
being
have
negative.
To be that. It's
I
just
think that's
two opposing. An argument is literally two opposing views arguing each side of it. It's a debate. That's what an argument is. It's just because we haven't seen healthy examples of what that is that it has that negative connotation to it. But lawyers get in a courtroom and argue their side all the time, and they're not coming to fisticuffs in the courtroom.
They're also not coming to understand. See, that's what I mean. Like when you argue, it's just me arguing my side, and those rarely come to like.
That's the negative part of it.
Yeah.
But you can argue your side, and we can come to a happy medium. Or one person can be swayed to the other side, and it does not have to always be a negative thing. I think that's something that people need to change their description and their understanding of, because we avoid arguments and then we just end up not talking about things because we're scared of where it's going to go. Like, have the argument, just learn how to argue well.
Yeah, I think I'm just doing a word thing. Like I don't like the word. Okay. I'd rather disagreement sounds better.
Yeah, see, that's the
I
thing.
like to
That's
we
why
don't
he
argue.
like to argue.
We don't argue. We disagree, and then we come to an understanding.
Let's paint the pretty picture. The truth is, it's an argument. It's just done well.
Ain't no done well arguments. I've never seen it.
Anyways.
Never seen it. Ever.
All right, let's wrap this thing up.
Take it away.
Thursday, we're going live this week on Facebook, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Facebook and YouTube. We will not be with Dr. Jack, but we will try to get that interview rescheduled so that you all can have your sex episode as you like. Of course, if you want to support the show, you can send us money at $ what they never told us on Cash App. You can also support us by liking and sharing and interacting with all of our posts on Facebook.
Absolutely. We are going into a series that we've been talking about doing. There's a lot of episodes that we've been talking about doing. We've kind of hinted at a few of them here on the platform, but we're definitely going to be pulling in more guests, pulling in more people to talk about things that aren't necessarily our experience, and we don't ever want to talk about something that we haven't experienced. So we're going to pull people who have those life experiences so we can talk. Really excited about it. It's a series that we're going to be talking about, so that's going to be amazing. Don't know if you'll see the setup for a little bit, okay? Our new what is it? A producer?
Sure.
our new producer.
Give him a new title.
Our new creative director and producer is going out of town. So shout out to him. Thank you again, sir. Boss Up Productions, location and production. So hit him up once again, Ryan's Room, RYNSRM, to check him out. And yeah, we'll be back next week.
And always remember, we love love.
And y'all should love love too. Peace.